Hi everyone, good day. Today I will be explaining about the journal entries, the stock cards for materials and finished goods, job order cost sheets, and cost of goods sold statement of the Northern Consolidated Company.
The following are the balances of the Northern Consolidated Company as of January 1, 2019, and these are the transactions of the said company for the month of January 2019. The given problem has the following requirements. First is the journal entries to record the above transactions. Second, job order cost sheets. Third, stock cards for materials and finished goods. Fourth, cost of goods sold statement for the month of January. So these are the entries for the number one transaction. The accounts title are materials and accounts payable. We have a debit of 8,000 pesos for materials and a credit of 8,000 pesos for accounts payable. So, accounts payable siya, kaya wala man gi-state if giyon sa pag-purchase of materials. So, if giingon dito na the materials has been purchased on account or on cash, so cash ato ang credit na ibutang dili accounts payable. So since accounts payable siya, pasabot na ang materials was purchased on credit. Materials purchased computed as follows. Material A, 600 units at 5 pesos and 50 cents. So, just multiply 600 by 5.50 to get 3,300 pesos. Material B, 800 units at 5 pesos. So, 800 times 5 equals to 4,000 pesos. And indirect materials amounted to 700 pesos. So, i-add lang nato na silang tatlo, 3,300 pesos plus 4,000 plus 700. We have a total of 8,000 pesos. So, that would be the entry for the number one transaction. Next, we have the number two transaction. Materials requisitioned and issued on a FIFO basis amounted to 7,000 pesos. Material A, 200 units, charged to job 101. Material A, 600 units, and Material B, 225 units, charged to job 102. Material B, 425 units, charged to job 103. Indirect materials amounted to 1,000 pesos. Sa journal entry, sa transaction number 2, we have a debit of 7,000 pesos for work in process and 1,000 pesos for factory overhead control and a credit of 8,000 pesos for materials. So, mao ni siya ang computation sa pagkuha sa work in process. So, materials issued to production, job 101. Material A, 200 units at 5 pesos. So, 200 times 5 is equal to 1,000. Job 102. Material A, 400 units at 5 pesos. 400 times 5, 2,000. 200 units at 5 pesos and 50 cents. So, 200 times 5.50 is equal to 1,100 pesos. And material B, 225 at 4 pesos. So, 225 times 4, 900 pesos. So, 2,000 pesos plus 1,100 plus 900, we have 4,000 pesos. Then, job 103, material B, 125 units at 4 pesos. So, we have 125 times 4, 500. Then, 300 units at 5 pesos. So, 300 times 5, 1,500. So, 500 plus 1,500 is equal to 2,000 pesos. So, i-add lang siya tanan. So, job 101, 1,000 pesos. Job 102, 4,000 pesos. Job 103, 2,000 pesos. So, 1,000 plus 4,000 plus 2,000, we have 7,000 pesos. So, mo na siya ang sa work in process. For the factory overhead control, as we have learned in our previous lessons, that factory overhead control includes costs of indirect labor, indirect materials, machine repairs, depreciations of equipment, factory supplies, insurance, electricity expense, and other expenses. That's why the factory overhead control has a credit of 1,000 pesos. Kaya gikan siya dito sa indirect materials na 1,000 pesos. And for the materials, i-add lang ang amount sa work in process and factory overhead control. So we have 7,000 plus 1,000, a total of 8,000 pesos. Transaction 3. Material B returned to vendors, 70 units at 5 pesos. The entries are the following. So, we have a credit of 350 pesos for accounts payable and 350 for materials. So, 350 siya kay there were 70 units of material B na na-return sa vendors which cost 5 pesos each. So, 70 units multiplied by 5, so we have 350 pesos. Next is the transaction number 4. Payroll during January amounted to 10,300 pesos, of which 2,000 is for job 101, 4,000 pesos for job 102, 2,000 pesos for job 103, and 2,300 pesos is indirect labor. Deductions are as follows. So we have SSS premiums amounted to 412 pesos, Medicare contributions 225 pesos, and withholding taxes 1,050 pesos. In transaction number 4, we have a debit of 10,300 pesos for payroll, credit of 412 for SSS premium payable, 225 pesos for Medicare contributions payable, and 1,050 for withholding taxes. So, our accrued factory payroll is 8,613. Kay 412 plus 225 plus 1,050 is equal to 8,613. So, kani siya na entries, mo din siya ang payroll for the month. So, continuation for the number 4 transaction. So, we also have the classification of payroll. We have here a debit of 8,000 pesos for work in process. So, ang work in process is amounted to 8,000 pesos. Kay dria sa transaction number 4, ang job 101, naa siya amount na 2,000 pesos. I-add siya sa job 102 na 4,000 pesos o sa job 103 na 2,000 pesos. So, we have 2,000 plus 4,000 plus 2,000 equals 8,000 pesos. And for the factory overhead control, it is amounted to 2,300 pesos. So, gikan na siya sa indirect labor na 2,300 pesos. So, as we know na ang entry sa indirect labor, indirect costs, depreciations, etc. kay factory overhead control. So, mo to siyang naa siya factory overhead control na 2,300 pesos. Transaction number 5. Factory overhead is applied on the basis of 100% of direct labor cost. The entries are debit of 8,000 pesos for work in process and credit of 8,000 pesos for factory overhead applied. So, kani siyang sa work in process na 8,000 pesos, kato ni siyang sa direct labor cost sa job 101, job 102, ug job 103. Diba sa job 101 we have 2,000 pesos, sa job 102 we have 4,000 pesos, and sa job 103, we have 2,000 pesos. So, 2,000 plus 400, plus 4,000 plus 2,000, we have 8,000 pesos. So, sa factory overhead applied, 100% man daw sa direct labor cost. So, ang direct labor cost man is 8,000 pesos. So, 8,000 pesos times 100% equals 8,000 pesos. So, ang 8,000, mauna na siya ang factory overhead applied. Transaction 6. Jobs completed during the month. Job 101 for 3,000 units of commodity X and job 102 for 5,000 units of commodity Y. So, in this transaction, the debit is amounted to 21,000 pesos for finished goods and credit is amounted to 21,600 pesos for work in process. Cost of jobs completed, computed as follows. So for job 101, materials is amounted to 2,700 pesos, labor is amounted to 3,450 pesos, and overhead for 3,450 pesos. So we have a total of 10,600 pesos. While for job 102, we have materials amounted to 4,000 pesos, labor 4,000 pesos, and overhead 4,000 pesos. We have a total of 12,000 pesos for job 102. So, ang kaning 21,600 sa work in process, muna siya ang result sa materials, labor, ug overhead sa job 101 ug 102. So, sa job 101, di ba natay 9,600 pesos and job 102 is 12,000 pesos. Then, i-add lang na silang duha, 9,600 plus 12,000 pesos, we have 21,600 pesos. Transaction number 7. Sales during January on FIFO basis or the first in, first out basis, 4,000 units of commodity X at 6 pesos per unit and 4,000 units of commodity Y at 4 pesos per unit. The entries for the number 7 transaction are accounts receivable, debit of 40,000 pesos, and sales credit of 40,000 pesos. So, in computing the sales, di ba ang given is, ang commodity X is 4,000 units at 6 pesos. So, 4,000 times 6, we have 24,000 pesos for commodity X. Then, commodity Y, 4,000 units at 4 pesos. So, 4,000 times 4 pesos, we have 16,000 pesos. So, just add the two, we have a total of 40,000 pesos. So, that's for the accounts receivable and sales. We also have cost of goods sold, debit, amounted to 22,000 pesos, and finished goods credit amounted to 22,000 pesos. So, cost of units sold for the month, commodity X, 2,000 units at 3 pesos, and 2,000 units at 3 pesos and 20 centavos. So, 2,000 units times 3 pesos, we have 6,000 pesos. 2,000 units at 3 pesos and 20 cents, we have 6,400 pesos. And for commodity Y, 4,000 units at 2 pesos and 40 cents. So, 4,000 times 2.40, we have 9,600. Then, add all the results of commodity X and commodity Y. So, we have 6,000 pesos plus 6,400 pesos plus 9,600 pesos. We have a total of 22,000 pesos. Number 8 transaction. Cash collection from customers, 35,000 pesos. The number 8 transaction pertains about the collection of accounts. So, atong entry diri would be cash and accounts receivable. So, We have a debit of 35,000 pesos for cash and a credit of 35,000 pesos for accounts receivable. Transaction 9. Recorded the following liabilities. Factory overhead, 4,800 pesos. Selling expenses, 2,100 pesos. General expenses, 1,500 pesos. The journal entry of this transaction includes the following. So on the debit side, we have factory overhead control amounted to 4,800 pesos. Selling expense control, 2,100 pesos. In general expense control, 1,500 pesos. And on the credit side, we have accounts payable amounted to 8,400 pesos. So, ang factory overhead control, selling expense control, general expense control, ang ilahang amounts i-add. So, mao na ni siya ang sa accounts payable na 8,400 pesos. For the last transaction, transaction number 10. Paid accounts, 9,500 pesos. Payroll, 8,500 pesos. So here are the journal entry for the number 10 transaction. On the debit side, we have accounts payable amounted to 9,500 pesos and accrued factory payroll amounted to 8,500 pesos. While on the credit side, we have cash amounted to 18,000 pesos. So, i-add lang ang 9,500 pesos o 8,500 pesos. Ang result is 18,000 pesos. So, mauna na siya ang cash. So, for the cost sheets of Job 101, we have here the materials, labor, and overhead. So, for material A, 200 units at 5 pesos, so equals 1,000 pesos. Material B, 175 units at 4 pesos, equals 700 units. So, gikan ni siya diri sa details of the inventory. So, nabilang ni siya sa work in process. Job number 101. So, materials. So, dara iyang information. Muna siya, material A, material B. So, equals 1,000 and 700. So, na siya total na 1,700 pesos for materials A and B. And for the second list of material, we have material A, 200 units at 5 pesos. So, 200 times 5 equals 1,000 pesos. So, kani siya na information, makita ni siya sa journal entry sa transaction number 2. So, are, Job 101, we have material A, 200 units at 5 pesos. So, we have 1,000 pesos. For the direct labor, we have 1,450. So, kani siyang 1,450, katuning direct labor sa Job 101 na 290 hours at 5 pesos. So, dara siya. So, 290 hours at 5 pesos. So, equals 1,450. We also have 2,000 pesos for labor. So, kani siyang 2,000 pesos, makita ni siya sa number 4 transaction. So, for Job 101, naa siya labor cost na 2,000 pesos. For the overhead, we have 1,450. So, 1,450 siya kay 100% man ang factory overhead na gi-applied. 100% siya sa direct labor cost. So, ang direct labor cost man is 1,450. So, 1,450 times 100% is equal to 1,450. The next overhead is amounted to 2,000 pesos. So, ang overhead applied is 100% of the direct labor cost. So, naman tayo 2,000 na direct labor cost. So, 2,000 times 100%. So, we have 2,000 for the overhead applied. So, for the materials, we have a total of 2,700 pesos. For the labor, 3,450 pesos. And for the overhead, 3,450 pesos as well. Job 102. So, for the materials, we have material A, 400 units at 5 pesos. So, 400 times 5, 2,000 pesos. Then, 200 units at 5 pesos and 50 centavos. So, 200 times 5.50 is 1,100 pesos. And material B, 225 units at 4 pesos. So, 225 times 4, we have 900 pesos. So, kani siya na amounts, makita ni siya sa transaction or sa journal entry sa transaction number 2. So, dara ang details sa materials A and B sa job 102. So, lang total is 4,000 pesos. For the labor, yung amount is 4,000 pesos. So, ang details ani is makita sa transaction number 4. So, ang labor sa job 102 is amounted to 4,000 pesos. The overhead is amounted to 4,000 pesos. So, the factory overhead applied is 100% of direct labor cost. So, kay 4,000 man ang ato ang labor diri sa job 102. So, 4,000 times 100%. So, ang result mao na to siya ang overhead. So, 4,000 times 100%, we have 4,000 pesos. So, the total materials for job 102 is 4,000 pesos. For labor, 4,000 pesos, and for the overhead is 4,000 pesos. Next is job 103. For the materials, we have material B, 125 units at 4 pesos. 125 times 4, we have 500 pesos. And 300 units at 5 pesos. So, 300 times 5 because 1,500 pesos. So, ang details ani, makita Japon siya sa journal entry sa transaction number 2. So, dara ang details sa job 103 na materials. So, na siya total na 2,000 pesos. So, the labor is amounted to 2,000 pesos. So, yung details is makita Japon sa transaction number 4. So, mao ni siya. Ang job 103 na siya 2,000 pesos na direct labor cost. So, sa overhead na siya 2,000 pesos. So, same process lang Japon. Ang overhead is 100% sa labor. So, ang labor man nato 3 is 2,000 pesos. So, 2,000 pesos times 100%. So, muna siyang 2,000 pesos. So, ang total sa materials for job 103 is 2,000 pesos. For the labor is 2,000 pesos and the overhead is 2,000 pesos. So, ari na punta sa stock cards for materials and finished goods. So, first, material A received 600 units at 5 pesos and 50 cents. So, 600 times 5 pesos and 50 cents, we have 3,000 pesos. So, kani siya, makita ni siya sa transaction number 1. So, daraya ang details. Material A, 600 units at 5 pesos and 50 cents. So sa issued column, we have 600 units at 5 pesos. So 3,000 pesos. Then 200 units at 5 pesos and 50 cents. We have 1,100 pesos. So ang details ani makita siya sa journal entry sa transaction number 2. So dara siya, material A 200 units at 5 pesos. Material A 400 units at 5 pesos and 200 units at 5 pesos and 50 cents. So kay parehas man og cost 200 units ug 400 units na materials. So i-add lang ni silang duha, so mao nito siya ang 600 units at 5 pesos. Og ang isa mao ni siyang 200 units at 5 pesos and 50 cents. So na siya total na 4,100 pesos. For the balance column, we have 600 units at 5 pesos equals 3,000 pesos, and 600 units at 5 pesos and 50 cents equals 3,300 pesos. And 400 units at 5 pesos and 50 cents, we have 2,200 pesos. Next is material B. So sa received na column, we have 800 units at 5 pesos. So 800 times 5 pesos, we have 4,000 pesos. So kani siya, makita ni siya sa transaction number 1. So dara iyahang details. So material B, 800 units at 5 pesos. We also have 70 units at 5 pesos. So 70 times 5 is equal to 350. So kan makita ni siya sa transaction number 3. So are 70 units at 5 pesos. On the issued column, we have 350 units at 4 pesos. So 350 times 4, we have 1,400 pesos. And 300 units at 5 pesos. 300 times 5, we have 1,500 pesos. We can see its details on the journal entries of transaction number 2. Material B, 225 units at 4 pesos. And 125 units at 4 pesos. And 300 units at 5 pesos. So 225 units plus 125 units is equal to 350 units. So mo to siya dito againa na 350 units at 4 pesos. And then ang isa is 300 units at 5 pesos. And for the balance column, we have 350 units at 4 pesos, which is equal to 1,400 pesos. 350 units at 4 pesos, 1,400 pesos. 800 units at 5 pesos, we have 4,000 pesos. 500 units at 5 pesos equals 2,500 pesos. 430 units at 5 pesos equals 2,150 pesos. For indirect materials, received 700 pesos. So, makita ni siya sa transaction number 1. Issued 1,000 pesos. Balance 500 pesos, 1,200 pesos, and 200 pesos. Next is for commodity X. So, received 3,000 units at 3 pesos and 20 centavos. So, 3,000 times 3.20, we have 9,600 pesos. So, makita ni siya sa transaction number 6. So, the commodity X is 3,000 units. On the issued column of commodity X, we have 2,000 units at 3 pesos. So, 2,000 times 3 is equal to 6,000 pesos. Then 2,000 units at 3 pesos and 20 cents. So we have 6,400 pesos. So kini siya, makita ni siya sa journal entry sa transaction number 7. So these are the details for commodity X. 2,000 units at 3 pesos and 2,000 units at 3.20 pesos. So 6,000 pesos and 6,400 pesos. We have a total of 12,400 pesos. For the balance column of the commodity X, we have 2,000 units at 3 pesos. So 6,000 pesos. 2,000 units at 3 pesos, that's for 6,000 pesos. 3,000 units at 3 pesos and 20 centavos, we have 9,600 pesos. And 1,000 units at 3 pesos and 20 centavos equals 3,200 pesos. The last one is the commodity Y. So, received 5,000 units at 2 pesos and 40 cents. So, 5,000 times 2 pesos and 40 cents, we have 12,000 pesos. So, kani siya, makita ni siya sa transaction number 6. So, commodity Y has 5,000 units. Then, commodity Y issued 4,000 units at 2 pesos and 40 cents, which is equal to 9,600 pesos. So, see the details on the journal entries of transaction number 7. So, commodity Y has 4,000 units, which cost 2 pesos and 40 cents each. So, 4,000 times 2.40, we have 9,600 pesos. And that's for commodity Y. And for the balance, 5,000 units at 2 pesos and 40 centavos. So, 5,000 times 2.40 is equal to 12,000 pesos. We have here the Northern Consolidated Company Cost of Goods Sold Statement for the month ended January 31, 2019. Direct materials. Materials, January 1, amounted to 4,900 pesos. Purchases amounted to 8,000 pesos. Less purchase returns, 350 pesos. So, 8,000 minus 350, we have 7,650 pesos. So, 4,900 pesos plus 7,650 pesos, we have 12,550 pesos, and that is the total available for use. So, less materials, January 31, amounted to 4,550. And the indirect materials amounted to 1,000 pesos. So, 4,550 plus 1,000 pesos, we have 5,550 pesos. So, 12,550 pesos minus 5,550 pesos, we have 7,000 pesos. Next, we have the direct labor. So, direct labor is amounted to 8,000 pesos, and the factory overhead is 8,000 pesos. So 7,000 plus 8,000 plus 8,000, we have 23,000 pesos, and that is the total manufacturing cost. So we are going now to add work in process. January 1 amounted to 4,600 pesos. So, 23,000 plus 4,600, we have 27,000 pesos, and that's cost of goods put into process. Less work in process January 31 amounted to 6,000 pesos. So, cost of goods manufactured is amounted to 21,600 pesos. Kay 27,600 pesos minus 6,000 pesos is 21,600 pesos. So, add finished goods January 1 amounted to 6,000 pesos. So 21,600 plus 6,000, we have 27,600 pesos. And that's the total goods available for sale. Less finished goods January 31 amounted to 5,600 pesos. So 27,600 minus 5,600, we have 22,000 pesos. And that's for the cost of goods sold, normal. And we're going to add it by the under-applied factory overhead amounted to 100 pesos. And the cost of goods sold actual, we have a total of 22,100 pesos. So the under-applied factory overhead is computed as follows. We have actual factory overhead of 8,100 pesos less applied factory overhead amounted to 8,000 pesos. So the under-applied factory overhead is equal to 100 pesos.